I think we're live. We're waiting a minute. We're having a few technical difficulties. If you're joining us, welcome to the Rally Room. I'm Emiliana Guereca. I am your host. I see the chat. Hi from Pennsylvania, from Utah, from San Jose, from Illinois. Buffalo, New York. Today is January 20th, and we are here to tell you that women warned you. We told you all of this was going to happen. Today is the first year of the Trump's administration, reign of terror, reign of chaos. He was just on the news, as you know, trying to disrupt what is happening today. So today, the walkout, mass walkouts at 2 p.m. no matter where you are at. Make a point to walk out. What can you do? Not spend. If you are in an office, take 10 minutes, 15 minutes to call your representative, to let them know to stop funding ICE, to control the president. As you know, a year in, and there is chaos. There is no separation of power. Congress has no power. The Senate has no power. Therefore, we are dealing with a dictatorship. We all know this. We all know this because in 2016, we knew that this is what was going to happen. We are almost, a decade into this fight against this dictatorship that we knew was coming through. So welcome to the Rally Room. If you are joining us, tell us where you're joining us from. Woo! Virginia, San Diego, Texas, Ohio, Connecticut, yes, come through, Minneapolis, Minnesota, who are currently our champions. Thank you for keeping up the fight in Minneapolis and Minnesota. Don't let them get away with silencing you. Don't let them get away with militarizing our country. So let's talk about it. It wasn't hysteria. We were speaking on experience. So when we warned you in 2016, 2017, we were recognizing patterns. We were recognizing what was to come. The loss of Roe v. Wade was coming. Economic instability, weaponized courts, foreign policy recklessness, the erosion of democracy itself is what we are seeing and continuing to see, but we're not powerless. We've got to understand that we are not powerless, that we can continue to fight. Just today, Axios said that women, wine moms as they're calling us, that women were about to disrupt this presidency. And it isn't that we are about to, it is that we are continuing the work we started in 2016. So it's not that we are just starting to disrupt. What is happening now is that we are seeing the military on the ground, that we are seeing a government that does not care about democracy. Do any of us think that the current government will be out of office in 2028? The way it looks like, it's not. So we've got to make sure that we don't feel powerless, that we continue to advocate, because we're speaking on experience, okay? Oh, I have a few questions. Elmhurst, Illinois. Woo! Originally from Chicago. Thank you. Yes, send us our questions. So the key actors that we're talking about, how we got here, how we get into a year of retribution, a year into chaos. Key actors, we've got Donald Trump, of course, at the top. We've got Stephen Miller, his hateful ass. Yes, I will say it. Kristi Noem, who does not care about anybody but herself and staying in power. We got Whiskey Pete and Pete Hegseth. And of course, we've got the Supreme Court, which we all warned you about. In the Supreme Court, they want to take every fight there. Why? Because they've stacked the courts. We know that. So what we're talking about is the policy and behaviors. They are now governing by executive order, which means they are governing based on loyalty and who is loyal to the president. They are bypassing courts. The only thing that we have that can possibly stop is some of the federal courts. As we know, even those courts are stacked. The Supreme Court is definitely a tainted court. So we're talking about attacks on journalism, and what nobody is talking about truly is media. We now currently have most alt-right media, state-sanctioned media. So they've defunded PBS, public broadcasting. Now CBS is a right wing, CNN is a right wing, and of course the main one, Fox Entertainment, which is really a host of lies. That's what they're doing. So we're talking about the expanding also of executive power and the hollowing of oversight. The current administration only answers to the president. That is a dictatorship. That is clear line of dictatorship. So what we have to do, we warned you. So now we've got to continue to follow everything into the court of law. We've got to continue to sue the president. Yes, from Minnesota to Minneapolis to California. We've got to continue to sue the United States government for unleashing this chaotic president on its citizens. We've got to rein them in. We know the Supreme Court won't. We know that. So we've got to continue with the federal courts. As we know, some of the federal judges have ruled in favor of the people. So we've got to continue that. So we're looking at the policy trends. We're looking at the judicial appointments, the emergency rulings that they continue to backtrack or to set forth. What does all this do? It creates chaos. And it is exactly what they want us to feel, chaos and feel exhausted. But we can't let that take over. We can't. As we know that the fight has to continue by taking to the streets, yes, continuing to march. And I know a lot of people will say that doesn't work. Marching works. It is the only pushback we have for them. It is the only way that we can continue to document. It is the only way that we say that we were not silenced at this time, right? So the other piece around it is education. Remember when they tried defunding Harvard? They tried defunding UCLA. They tried defunding education. Why? Because education is what is needed around civic engagement. We need to understand that all of that is to put forth their power, to make sure that they keep us dumb. We're not going to let that happen. So what we warned about is there. We're continuing to talk about justice and policy, but more than that, what they want us is to not have access to anything, to not have access to education, to not have access to health care, to be able to control us. It's about control. We talked about this early on, that it was about control over women, control over our bodies, control over media. That is a dictatorship, and we have to continue to call it out. It is no longer about Republicans versus Democrats or Democratic messaging. It is not. It is not. I don't care what your political affiliation is. You should not be okay with the militarization of the Department of Homeland Security. You should not be okay with ICE being on the ground arresting people based on their color. 95% of the people they have detained have no criminal record. 95%. So we need to let our Congress representatives, our congressmen and congresswomen, know that we want them to stop funding ICE. And in the Senate, they need 60 votes to pass that funding by January 30th. I'm going to ask you to call your senator and tell them no. Stop funding ICE. Stop funding terror. Stop funding wars, whether it's in Venezuela, Iran, and now Greenland. Stop funding all of this for this president. They work for us. Don't forget that. They work for us. I have a ton of questions in here, but let me continue. Yes, impeach, impeach, impeach. Yes, from Arizona to California to Connecticut to Kentucky. The clear goal is that we've got to continue speaking to our representatives. Republican, Democrat, Independent does not matter when you no longer have a democracy. And that is where we're headed. All right, so we're going to talk about economy, labor, and care work. Do any of us feel safe like we have health care? Do we feel safer a year into this presidency? Absolutely not. We are all in fear of possibly getting apprehended, possibly being held, but also by rogue masked men. That is what is out there. We talked about this in the rally room last week and the week before. As it happened, we now have everything on video. Our eyes do not deceive us. Don't let them lie to us. ICE killed a woman, 3 shots, and the government, the president, Kristi Noem, all said what we saw is not what we saw. We saw it. It is violence, state-sanctioned violence. And the last words from the ICE agent were, this fucking bitch. That is what was said. And that is how the government feels about women. This is what the government is pretending that we did not hear, that we did not see. Well, we're going to tell you straight out, fuck you. We saw it. You killed a woman. ICE on the streets currently must stop. Defund the Department of Homeland Security. Defund ICE. Yes, I said it. Fuck you. All right, we're going to continue. From Indiana, yes, the 5 calls, make 5 calls. We've got to continue to do it. We are not safe until everyone is safe. We are talking about also the weakening of the labor movement. We're weakening and undermining child care support. Don't forget that this past year was also the longest government shutdown. Yep. The longest government shutdown, which means people were laid off. People were, especially women, were the hardest hit because we did not go back to work after the pandemic. So we are talking about families stretched thin, women leaving the workforce. And this is the supposed pro-family, pro-life party. It's not. It's not. It is anti-family and anti-women. We've got to make sure to call that. There is nothing pro-life about defunding childcare and education. Why? Because they expect free labor from women, and we're not going to do it. We are not. At 2 p.m., no matter where you're at, walk out. If you're tuning in right now from the East Coast, thank you. At 2 p.m., I'm going to be marching downtown Los Angeles. I am also going to call my senators to make sure that they will know on funding ICE. All right, so we're going to talk about also teachers being silenced, students being punished for asking questions, but also what no one is talking about is the replacement theory. This current government is so afraid of becoming a minority. Why? Because of the way they have treated minorities, because of the way they are currently treating minorities. Otherwise, what are you afraid of? You are afraid of becoming a minority because you have been cruel to minorities and are continuing to be cruel to minorities. However, we are not going to let them get away with that. I'm going to ask you again to call your senator, call your congressman, let them know that you do not stand and do not want our taxpayer dollars to go to fund militarization of ICE on the ground in any state. If you are in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, in New York, we've seen them on the ground. We know what they look like. They are masked men that are out there rogue, apprehending anyone and anything that looks brown. Let's call that what that is, and that is full-blown racism. It is state violence. And the policing of America is what they're calling it. Is not policing of America. It is fear-mongering of America, because immigration and custom enforcement could be done in a normal way. And I have someone saying Obama deported more people. Yes, Obama did deport more people. But did you see the state-sanctioned violence on the ground? Obama went straight to their employers. Obama and Biden followed the rule of law. No one is asking for open borders. No one is saying that. What we are saying is to follow the rule of law. If we are asking immigrants and we are asking everyone to follow the rule of law, why doesn't the president follow the rule of law? Why doesn't the Department of Homeland Security follow the rule of law in the process? Why? Because we're headed into a dictatorship. Yes, that's what it is. So we're asking them to follow the rule of law. No one here is advocating for open borders. I certainly am not as an immigrant. I think it harms everyone involved. Follow the rule of law, and immigration reform is what we are saying, but we're also saying no militarization on the streets. That's what we're saying. So we're saying law and order is what they're saying. They're framing it as law and order. It is law, disorder, and chaos. That is what they're sending us. Now let's talk about just 5 minutes ago, the dollar dropped. Why? Because foreign policy. We are now seeing global instability. We are seeing this deranged president look at policies and take it personal. He is really driving down the thing of dictatorship. Why? So he has pulled up Maduro from Venezuela. And again, we're not out here siding with Maduro and saying we want the president to be to help Maduro in that dictatorship. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about him bypassing Congress and going to Venezuela, pulling Maduro out. They're being held in New York now as a dictator, right? There's instability there, and the government hasn't changed in Venezuela. It hasn't. The vice president is now the president, so still a dictatorship. All right. We're talking about the reckless leadership, right? So we're talking about the withdrawal of alliances. We're talking that he now wants to invade Greenland. What has Greenland done to us that he thinks it's okay to invade? And I'm now going to read you. I'm going to read the text message that he sent out in his response, okay? So he is talking, dear Jonas, considering your country, Greenland, decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant. But now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. I'm going to say it. How fucking embarrassing. This is the president of the United States. Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? That's a dictator speaking. There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there. Also, I have done more for NATO than any other person in its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. It is a clear indication that he wants to dismantle NATO, right? It is a clear indication destroying foreign affairs and alienating our allies. So why are we not calling that out? And the Senate, the Republicans who are in the majority are talking about, well, if he invades Greenland, we are going to maybe sanction him. No, it will be too late. You need to apply the 25th Amendment now. He is deranged, as we all know. And now he is proposing a peace board seat. He's selling peace board seats. You read that right. peace board seats. How can we trust this president when it's all about money? And yes, someone is, thank you. Someone is mentioning about the oil that was sold from Venezuela for $500 million. And you want to know where the money is being held? Not in the United States. The money is being held in Qatar. Do you remember Qatar? Qatar gave the president a plane. Okay, so it's always been about money, and it has been about personal gain. And the United States has no right to force the change of regimes anywhere, in Venezuela or otherwise. But here we are. I'm going to ask everybody to call your representatives. We've got to invoke the 25th Amendment because the president has lost his mind and is continuing to sell out the United States. The dollar fell today. Fell today. That is what we are experiencing. And that is personal gain for the president. This is what we are. Okay? So, now we're going to talk about, that's the global disruption. We're talking about the economic volatility. So they told us, when he was elected, they told us that he was going to change the price of things. He was the conservative president, 34-time convicted felon is what we've got. We've also got a sexual predator that has not released the Epstein files completely, although he was supposed to in December. So all of this chaos is created to do what? To keep us occupied while the Epstein files are not released, to keep us occupied as to the foreign economic policy that he does not understand. And I'm no policy wonk, but I can tell you when I start to see the parallels of a dictatorship coming. This is no different. What we are experiencing in the streets is no different than 1930s Germany, when they were rounding up all the Jews and everyone was silent and everyone was complicit. Right now, they are rounding up all of the brown people and everyone is pretending that it's going to be okay. It is not going to be okay. And it will not be okay unless we continue to fight. We've continued to take to the streets, to call congressional folks, and we don't want anyone writing letters. I'm talking about Cory Booker or this or that. No, we do not want our money to be funded for ICE. We don't care about their training because they're not training them. We don't want to fund ICE with our tax-paying dollars. We do not want that. So all the senators, you're going to expect some phone calls. All right. So we are also talking about holding families together during all of this chaos, right? We are also talking about making sure that we are documenting, making sure that we are telling our kids the truth about what is happening, that we are falling down the rabbit hole of a dictatorship and that we will not be silent. Our kids are watching. They are going to school and maybe going to school with fear. There is no one in the United States that does not know an immigrant. This country was founded on immigrant labor. This country was founded on Black and brown labor. So we've got to all continue to fight back, because what is happening is part of the Project 2025 and the replacement theory. We talked about it earlier. What is it? They are afraid of becoming the minority. Stephen Miller is the main one. Stephen Miller out of Santa Monica was always pissed off at Latinos, was always pissed off at brown people. And now when he sees himself in power, he's ready to crash on them. We are not going to let him terrorize communities the way he has been. We got to make sure that you're calling your senator, you're calling your mayor, you're calling Congress to tell them to stop funding ICE, but also to stand with immigrants, because we are a nation of immigrants. I'm going to answer some questions. Yes, Yes, people are starting to see the writing on the wall, but not fast enough. It's been a decade since 2016. We knew all this was coming. The economic instability, the fall of Roe, the 2020 fake electors. What in the world? There were fake electors. There are people that were doing time. There are people that knew they were there to fake an election. That's dictatorship. And that, let's not forget January 6th. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would happen if folks tried to do that today? Military on the ground. And you want to know who was president at the time? President Trump. It was, where's that energy? Where's the energy? Why did he not unleash the National Guard on the patriots that were there? Why? Because they were there solely to impede the certification of the election. They were there solely for his benefit. Yes, that's what they were there for. So we've got to make sure that we don't let them forget. We don't let them forget that this is the president that attempted a coup. And if we think we're going to get to 2026 elections and 2028 elections, we're mistaken. We will not get there with this current president unless we ask for the 25th Amendment, unless we walk out of this and say enough is enough, and we're saying no. We're saying no to the militarization on the streets. We're saying no to the defunding of education. We're saying no to the silencing of everyone. As you know, most of the media now is run. Yes, Fox News, CBS, CNN. We no longer will have public broadcasting. And at every turn, I don't know if you saw the interview in ABC, at every turn, we get lied to. We get lied to, and they tell us, they gaslight us and tell us that what we saw was not the truth. So I'm going to ask everybody to, at 2 p.m., no matter where you're at, yes, yes, Stephen Miller is Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Woo. I'm going to ask everybody that at 2 p.m. you walk out, you call your congressman, flood the feed. Don't let them win. Don't let them win by silencing us and making us scared, because we have the power. They still work for us. And if we want to get to midterms in 2026, if we want to get to 2028, we've got to continue to fight back now and not be lost in all of this. We are still requesting for the Epstein files. Where are they? Why is the president not releasing them? He's too busy trying to invade Greenland. He's too busy trying to take over Venezuela when he can't even control his own country. We've got to make sure that the senators know that we do not want this. We want the 25th Amendment now. We want to make sure that he is removed from office. And for those folks that have relatives that are MAGA, let them know. Let them know to expect us, because we are going to remove him, because they are dangerous for the MAGAs too. Again, because your party doesn't matter anymore. If you are a brown MAGA, you're going to get pulled aside too. What are you going to explain? That you have a MAGA hat? No, sir. No, ma'am. If you are brown, you're going to be detained. That is what we're dealing with. It is too late to be talking about party partisanships. You think that your red hat is going to save you? It is not. It is not. We must be demanding that the president be reined in. Congress apparently can rein him in. The Senate can rein him in. You know who's going to rein him in? The people. The people continuing to push back and protest, because we are demanding that the rule of law be followed. We cannot stress this enough. It is only us documenting, us taking to the streets, and I'm going to repeat it, Do you think we would be experiencing this with the Kamala presidency, with the Harris presidency? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It takes a woman to lead. And this current president is not leading any of us. It is leading chaos. That is just what he's doing. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. We got to continue to recognize the pattern of dictatorship, the pattern of state violence, the pattern of control. That is what we're experiencing. But we're not going to let him do that. We're going to continue. I am going to now tell you what to do at 2 p.m. If you already on here, yes. I know some of you are pissed off at me if you have MAGA family. I've got MAGA family. I've got MAGA friends or had friends. Doesn't matter. Your political affiliation does not matter when a dictatorship takes over. It takes over everyone. It's currently picking on the blue states and the Democrats, but guess what? The red states and the MAGA folks are affected as well. Egg prices doesn't say, hey MAGA, this is going to be cheaper for you. It's not. It's not. Your MAGA affiliation will not save you. And for those talking about Democrats need a better message, we're beyond messaging. The message is no on this presidency. The message is 25th Amendment. That is the message. We don't have a messaging problem. We have a dictatorship problem. That's what we have. All right. So I'm going to ask you to wear red, white, and blue. I've got a little flag. I was going to say umbrella, but that's for the chaos rain. Wear red, white, and blue at 2 p.m. If you are on the East Coast, it's obviously 2 p.m. and beyond. But if you are on the West Coast, continue to call out. We've got to make sure that we have different roles for this same fight. If you cannot walk out of work, get on social media. Put out the messaging of why we're doing a national walkout. We have over 800 in the map. Some people are hosting podcasts the way we are. Some folks are hosting marches, whether it's near your courthouse, whether it is at your state house, whether it is just across the street. Say you are walking out on this presidency. I have a ton of questions. Yes, over 7 million were out for the No Kings rally, but as you know, today is Tuesday. Many of us have got to feed our families. Our kids are in school. We've got to also make sure that we stay safe because we understand that the folks on the street are not following the rule of law. So what I will say to everyone that is participating on this walkout is to stay safe. First and foremost, safety first. So we've got to make sure that, yes, we are loud with our pushback, but that we stay safe because no one is safe, honestly. So we're going to ask you to make sure you stay in the fight when you walk out today, to create something on your social media that says, I do not stand with this government and this is why. For me, it's personal. I do not want ICE on the street as an immigrant woman who has seen deportations, who has experienced state political violence. I want to make sure that everyone understands that it is not about open borders, that we are not advocating for criminals to stay here. What we're advocating is for rule of law. When 95% of the folks apprehended have no criminal record, it means that they were targeted just based on race. That's not what anybody voted for. And I'll repeat, I don't care if you're a MAGA. I don't care if you're a Republican. You will be apprehended as well, and you will be removed as well. So none of that is going to save you. We're beyond that. A dictatorship does not care about your political party. I'm going to ask for a digital blackout on your calendar. And why it matters is you could say, I'm walking out because this current president is harming the United States. We are a joke now. We must invoke the 25th Amendment. Yes, ask your senator to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove him. And of course, always peaceful. Yes, someone is saying to sing for our freedom. 2 p.m. PS2, yes, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. no matter where you are at. If you're on the East Coast right now is your time. If you are on the West Coast at 2 p.m., folks will be marching at the federal courthouses, ed parks. Even in your office building, carry your sign. Even in your office building, do something. Do not be silent about what is happening. This first year has been chaos for everybody. And I have a timeline, and it may just be too long, but yes, timeline. Someone is asking me, there is another national walkout on the 23rd in solidarity with Minneapolis. Do that. Just don't be silent. If you want to join on the 23rd and can't join today, that is fine. You've got to just be able to do something instead of being silent. And if you are part of a rapid response for ICE, stay tuned and make sure you log into our website, womensmarchfoundation.org, where you will be able to download and be part of rapid response. ICE Watch, no matter where you are in the country, from Illinois to Michigan to New Jersey to California, of course, Minneapolis and Minnesota. You will be able to download a Know Your Rights, but also starting tomorrow, we are going to give out whistles. If any of you have been following the movement, the giving out of whistles started in Chicago, and there are certain tones for whistles that are going to be yes, I'm hitting cards. So how to sound the alarm. If ICE is nearby, you're going to blow 3 short bursts. If ICE is detaining someone, you're going to blow 1 long whistle. So we're going to give these out. womensmarchfoundation.org. And the background is that this was founded in Chicago, used in Los Angeles to DC, and the whistle carrier is a simple messenger. It's a simple messenger about community protection. It is a simple message about who is on site and what is happening, but it also keeps you safe. It also keeps our community safe. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you to go to womensmarchfoundation.org. You are going to be able to receive a whistle with instructions on how to inform ICE. We do not think this is going to stop. This is going to continue, but we've got to continue to protect communities because, as we said, women warned you. We warned you this was happening. We are a decade into this chaos, but only first year into his second term of retribution. We've got to invoke the 25th Amendment. Yes, for those saying I have my whistle, we can still send one out. Give it to your neighbors. I'm going to ask everybody. I am currently wearing a whistle every single day, no matter where I go. Why? Because I'm going to use it no matter where I go. I was just off the grid for 4 days, and I made sure that I had it on. And of course, in Fresno, we saw ICE. Of course, near Yosemite, we saw ICE. Why? Because they are trying to create chaos and invade all of the communities at the same time. And my question is, why? When 95% of the folks they detained are not criminals. It's about power. It's about control. But more than anything, it's deflecting and not releasing the Epstein files. Who else is in the Epstein files? Why is this taking so long? Why create wars? All of this is to stop the Epstein files from being released. What other information is in there? The 34-time convicted felon, otherwise known as President Trump, is creating chaos in order to control its citizens, in order to put military on the streets and to normalize this. Don't normalize this. Our kids Our daughters, our sons deserve to know that we fought back, deserve to know that we fought for them to have more rights than we had. It continues to happen if we stay silent. I'm Emiliana Guereca. This has been the Rally Room. I'm going to answer some questions. Yes. Yes, you can order whistles. We will send them out to you. womensmarchfoundation.org. There will be an order form, but you may have to wait for us a little bit. We will have them there. We will send them out with instructions on what each one of them means. And of course, we are saying get out and vote. Why am I not talking about elections? I'm a little afraid that we don't have time to continue to talk about saving democracy and voting. We've got this front and center. It is a state of emergency. We've got to invoke the 25th Amendment. The current president and its administration is not behaving like they are going to leave office. They are building a golden ballroom underneath a bunker. Who builds a golden ballroom when they will be out of office in 2028? And for folks and all of the politicians waiting for midterms, we don't have time to wait for midterms. The folks are being rounded up currently right now in the streets, in DC, in Los Angeles, in California, in Illinois, in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, in Connecticut, in Boston. So midterms be damned, because we may not get there if we don't continue to come out and fight and push back against what is being sent our way. So let's get to work. Calling all of our folks, yes, to those folks calling themselves the Sith Lords. It's a Sith Lord of a president. That's what we got there. So there's no room, of course, for hopelessness. We know that we hold the power, but we only hold the power if we use it. Use it, taking to the streets, use it by pushing back and making sure that our politicians do not send me a text about donating. I am not donating anything but a whistle at the moment. I will not be donating to politicians that are just sending out letters. Nope. I want them to not fund ICE. I want funded health care. I want funded education. I want reproductive rights back. I don't want to train ICE. I don't want my money to go out to train these rogue men en masse to terrorize me. Nope. Do not send me a text about sending money for midterm elections. Not one dime. I will donate whistles, and that is it. With that, yes, protests near you. Go to womensmarchfoundation.org or womensmarch.com. You will be able to find a protest. Folks are asking if we are working with Women's March Inc. We are all part of the same movement, started at the same time. We don't have time for infighting. Who's more progressive than this or that? It doesn't matter. We do not have time when we're going down the rabbit hole of dictatorship. We do not have time for infighting. We should be using that energy to fight off the dictatorship in office. We have to use our energy to fight them off. The infighting has no room for this. I don't have time to infight. I don't care who started this movement. I don't care who is more popular. I don't care who is going to be out there in the march. Are there A-listers? Who cares? They're coming for all of us. And in case you haven't noticed, the A-listers are getting citizenship somewhere else, in France, somewhere else. Why? Because they're booking it out of here because they know their ship is sinking. Well, we're not going to let it. It's power to the people. The power belongs to the people. You, me, are the people. So, all right. I'm Emiliana Guereca. I'm going to close out the rally room. I want to thank you for joining me. And in the words of Dolores Huerta, sí se puede. We can do this. We can fight back and push back. Thank you. Yes. Fill out the form for the rally room for a free whistle. Send it to everybody. And of course, send us your questions. womensmarchfoundation.org. How many people can afford to donate in response to all the fundraising emails we receive? None. Do not donate to politicians until they stop funding all this bullshit. No one. Put stop. Say no. I want to thank you for your support from California, from Connecticut, from New York, Utah, Oregon, and for those in Minneapolis, Minnesota, keep fighting. We're with you. Anything you need, reach out to us. Yes, I said Clooney. Yes, yes. And the reality is that none of us have the funding to leave the country. So our fight is here. Our fight will continue to be here. We're not going anywhere because we've got our job set out for us. We've got to kick this president out and then hold every single person accountable and responsible. We're talking Nuremberg trials. We're talking making sure that we have documented every single thing they have done so that when they go to trial, we can come up as star witnesses. That is what we are doing. Thank you. We'll see you soon. We're still chatting.